Hey there, squad. Coach Mike here. So the big question is this. Who is the swimmer and which shoulder is causing the difficulty? Which is the one with shoulder pain? So here we go. The answer is, the swimmer is, yes, yours truly. So some of you guessed it correctly. Some of you might have still been in the dark on that, but this is me. This video was recorded back in April of 2019 at the Nike World Headquarters swim smooth clinic that we did out there in Portland, Oregon. And so myself and Coach Gretchen Jackson, who's a swim smooth coach out in that area, we were playing around with the video cameras that weekend, and she took the liberty of filming me that weekend. So let's get straight into this. I wanted to comment on just how much feedback you guys gave here in the group, and loved reading through all the comments, and I'm slowly working my way through answering, and there was tons and tons of good feedback and great observations. So let's get straight into it. So first and foremost, I did ask if you could point out maybe one or two positive aspects of the swimmer stroke. So I would agree with Betsy and Chrissy. Both of you commented on. Betsy, you said great, good body rotation, good body position. I 100% agree from looking at that. And then Chrissy, you said good foot placement. I think what you meant here was, like, for example, right here as I'm swimming away from the camera here a little bit, there's not a significant scissor kick or anything like this. Relatively speaking, feet stay together and are positioned nice and high up on the water, not causing drag, for example. And then you said also, Chrissy, good arm rhythm and cadence. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Actually, a more steady, consistent stroke rate and arm rhythm is kind of actually something I've been working on for quite a while. So I appreciate that. So now let's dive straight into this. Some things that we pointed out that could need some attention. Let's start with, some folks commented on a wide entry. Okay, and I'm going to double up on that and say wide entry and wide pull through. Okay, and let's take a look here. So very observant of many of you to see that. So look at this. So right here, for example, wide entry. Why would you not want a wide entry? Well, Mia said, for example, that long lever, okay, i.e. like pressing out wide and then pulling through underneath the water very wide, can put a lot of pressure on the shoulder. So here, just looking at, in this case, the right arm, you can see relative to where the body is going, the rest of the swimmer's body, so anyways, this direction, that arm was entering into the water and kind of pressing out wide. Okay, I hope you can see that there. Looking at the other arm, you can see that as well. And predominantly, if you notice, this happens more frequently on breathing strokes. So in other words, when the swimmer is breathing, there tends to be less of an awareness of what's going on with the arm that you can't see. Okay, and so that's exactly or precisely what's happening here. Okay, so good observation there. What about underneath the water? So a wide pull through, somebody spotted this. I think that was Mia as well. Let me just show you some examples here. Let's advance the film footage here. So for example, looking at that left arm, since we know that's the problem arm, let's get a couple strokes further so we get these bubbles out of the way here. Okay, so let's look at the pull-through action. Not looking at the catch just yet, okay, but looking at the pull-through action of the arm. So here the arm is, it is indeed actually way out wide from the body, from the swimmer's body. Like, for example here, if that's the surface of the water, this would be 90 degrees straight down. Look at how wide the arm is. Ideally, that arm should be somewhere right in and around underneath the body, quite a lot more. So almost kind of like right in here, for example. Let me show you an example of what that should look like. So let's bring up two-time Olympic gold medalist Rebecca Adlington from Great Britain in the 2012 London Olympics. She was the gold medalist in the 400 and 800 meter freestyle. Let's get a different view. Here we go, straight from head on. Look at this. So this is very characteristic of elite pool swimmers and elite open water swimmers. Okay, you see, first off, that bend at the elbow, we'll zoom in just a touch, that bend at the elbow always in these elite swimmers tends to fall at an angle somewhere between 100 to 120 degrees. Okay, that's pretty much how it works. Okay, that's why some of these elite swimmers can do what they can do. So you can see pulling through with more of a bent arm, and it's not quite so straight and wide like you can see my arm out here. Look at that big wide open angle, 137 degrees, just for comparison. Okay, and then you also notice, if we back it up, that as she pulls through, okay, the whole arm as a whole is closer, more underneath the body. So this just representing kind of like a plumb line right underneath the body here. Okay, and then you see her hand kind of falls in line beneath the shoulder right there. If you were to draw that same line for me, where is my hand? My hand is way out here, okay? So if there's the shoulder, my hand should be drawn somewhere, or should be pulled in a little bit closer underneath the body, underneath the shoulder actually, right under here, okay? All right, so it's helpful to look at and model these elite swimmers, because there's a reason that they swim so fast and so smoothly, okay? So that would be ideal. Now, moving on, okay, that's a wide arm entry, wide arm pull through, for example. So thank you. Jay Johnson also mentioned that, Amanda, Mia. Amanda, there was another Amanda who mentioned over-rotating, breathing to the left side. And in conjunction with that, Jay, you mentioned a scissor or a catch kick. Okay, so let's take a look at what are they talking about there. So Amanda, you talked about over-rotating to the left. So let's look here, which is exactly spot on, because I prefer breathing to my right side. Or, I'm sorry, I prefer breathing to my left side, and I have this tendency to over-rotate onto that right arm just like this. Okay, so you can see the hips and the body kind of rotate really quite far around compared to a non-breathing stroke. Okay, don't rotate quite as far. And so the problem here is when doing this, right, here's what happens, and here's why this works in conjunction with what Jay is saying with this, this little catch kick idea. So I have this tendency to overreach with the right arm while breathing to the left, and then as a consequence, that produces a little bit of a dead stop or a stopping action, okay? Slowing to glide and pause with the right arm extended. And this is a very subtle thing that we often are not aware of, but after that little pause and glide out front here to take a breath, you see this little snap, flick of the foot, this little catch kick happen, all right? You might think, oh, well, you know, he's trying to work on a 2B kick there, but actually the downside to this, now it's not causing a ton of drag, for example, but if you were to interview me, I would tell you that when I first started long distance swimming in open water and swimming for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours plus in the open water, I would get a terrible calf cramp in my right calf right here, and it's because of that little catch kick. Okay, so very, very good observation there from Amanda and Jay. Next, shoulder pain. Let's dive right into it. I'll show you what I believe is 100% the source of that shoulder pain, and is this right here. Let's back it up to this right here. Let's watch the left hand. It's hard to see when it's playing in real time, okay? So watch the left hand, okay? It's the hand away from us here. It's on the other side. It's closest to that white lane rope, okay? And what can you see? What do you pick up? Okay, it's very subtle, but it happens very fast. It's very subtle and happens very fast. So look at this. Here's where the problem begins. Let me show you this stroke right here. So here I am, breathing to my right side. Okay, we know that if something's going to go wrong with your technique, it's more likely to occur on a breathing stroke. And look what happens here. I'm breathing to the right side. Look at the whole position of that arm right there. Okay, forearm here, arguably okay, but then, I'm sorry, upper arm okay, but then the forearm goes straight up. And in that case, I do end up like, actually, as I'm starting my catch, which isn't really a catch right there, it's actually more like pushing downward than anything. Okay, which we don't want if we're trying to generate propulsion. Okay, it's more like a pressing down kind of action right there that happens first. The other thing is you can see a little twist of my wrist and hand, and I actually, as subtle as it is, press that hand out sideways. Okay, look at this. You can see it right there. Look at how the hand turns sideways. You can see the whole back of my hand in this instance. Really, I should just be seeing like the thumb and the side of my hand. Okay. Again, just for comparison, let's bring up our elite swimmer, Rebecca Adlington. Where is she? Right here. Let's take a look. What should you be doing? Okay, what does this look like? So look at this here. We'll look at the same arm. Yeah, so arguably on this stroke, she does kind of come up just a little bit, but look at that catch. Right there, a little tipping of the wrist first, and then that arm beautifully positioned to press back. Okay, where's mine? Oops, let's zoom in over there. Okay, really pressing down for quite a bit of that. Okay, so very good observation from lots of you. Let me show you one more view of this. I'm sorry, let me clear that out. And let's really zoom in. So check this out. This right here is exactly why my shoulder really starts hurting after a couple hours of swimming. So here that is again, hand turned completely sideways and pushing off to the side. The way I think my brain interprets that is it feels like that's the catch right there. Does that make sense? Okay, which if we look at it, that's very, very inefficient. And puts a significant load right up here on the shoulder. So my goals are actually not to swim super fast. I feel like my pace is okay as far as training and fitness goes, but I want to keep this nearly 40-year-old shoulder, I want to try and keep it healthy. So this little hitch in the stroke is kind of what is causing that shoulder pain, especially after a couple hours of swimming. That's when I usually start to feel it. The other week, I was in the middle of a 3-hour or 3.5-hour long swim here in Louisville, and for the whole final hour, I couldn't breathe to my right side at all. It was just too painful for my left shoulder. Okay, so I just switched to single side breathing, left side only. I couldn't put a whole lot of pressure on that left arm and shoulder. Okay, so how would you go about fixing this? Well, let me show you a couple drills as well that might help the correction process. The first of which would be this drill right here that I would personally recommend to swimmers with a pair of fins and a freestyler paddle. You would do like this. You would do half a length of kicking on the side with the paddle on the lead arm. Okay, get it set up, positioned nicely. That paddle in itself is very dynamic. It's a very good diagnostic tool. And if you do any sort of lateral movement with that paddle, it has a keel on the bottom, you would instantly feel it, in your stroke. In other words, the paddle would really move around and it would be uncomfortable and you wouldn't want to do that. So on the very next stroke, you would want to kind of correct it. Okay, and then for the other half of the length, you start swimming freestyle, ensuring that you're breathing opposite the paddle hand. Okay, and when doing so, stay very attuned and tuned into that paddle right there. Okay, so if the hand moves sideways, the thumb goes down, you'll feel it with that paddle on your hand. Secondly, I would suggest just doing some pulling, pull buoy, and a single paddle. You could alternate hands every 100 meters, let's say, but that be your focus. You would be 100% entirely focused on what that paddle is giving you as far as feedback. You would feel it shift around and move if you turn your hand sideways or turn the thumb down, etc., etc. The last would be this drill right here that I would recommend, called the Unco drill, but also done with a paddle. So let's see if I can find it. Here it is. So this is a single arm freestyle drill done with a pair of fins on. One arm stays down at your side. Okay. It's very tricky to kind of coordinate, hence the short form version of the word uncoordinated, Unco drill, and the P just representing it's a paddle Unco drill. Okay, so here again, you have to coordinate the timing and the rhythm of the stroke with shoulders and body rotation, etc. But you also get the feedback or benefit of the very dynamic freestyler paddle there. Okay, so you have to coordinate quite a bit in doing so. And you can just simply alternate one side or one arm and then the other. Okay, so single arm drill, but breathing opposite the paddle hand each and every stroke, okay, to get the coordination and the timing down. So great stuff. Thanks again for all your comments, you guys. I really appreciate it. It's kind of fun to see everybody chime in. And so I hope this was helpful. And if you did find it helpful, first, thanks for watching this long, but if you did find it helpful and if you're interested in a video analysis like this for yourself, I'm starting an online group coaching program that will involve you're able to submit a monthly video of your swimming, and we'll do a monthly video analysis. It'll include some weekly structured workouts. It'll include some weekly lessons and live video conference calls, and that'll be starting up soon. I'm opening up 10 spots to be available. And it'll be a 3-month initial commitment. So if you're interested in that, just send me a direct message and just say you're interested in the group online coaching program, and we can chat and see whether or not it would be a fit for you. Okay, thanks again, everybody, and look forward to seeing you at the pool or seeing you here again here in our Facebook group. Chat soon.